Hey folks, what is up? This is One Big Bugga, and I actually had for a little while a vlog to put up, and I haven't. Um, so now I need to re-record it. I'm growing in a winter beard again. I kind of mushed up on the mustache a little bit, and I may let this grow in. I'm not sure, but either way, I'm looking a little rough today. I actually kind of like the way I look. I'm not down in weight where I want to be, but I'm still down. It's trickling down very slowly. I've gone down from around 372 to 368, so I'm down 4 more pounds from there. It actually was 7 pounds. I got down to 365, but it's gone back up. I wasn't controlling my eating very well. I've since put the brakes on that and gone back to eating. Part of that has to do with things. I'm sorry, my back is itching like crazy, and I don't have my back scratcher. I have no idea where it went again. Things got a little rough, and that added a lot to it. But I'm still slowly losing, and hopefully it'll continue as I regather myself back into a proper eating habit. At least I hope. Not much going forward with my accident. I have had zero luck finding a counselor or a therapist at all. Anyone I talk to can take me in like 6 freaking months. I told you my back is itching like crazy. 6 months, 9 months, or they just don't want to take me in at all. Either they don't have room or they don't want to deal with the insurance. I'm doing physical therapy for my lower back. I have to constantly wear a wrist brace, and actually the inside of my hand has gotten numb recently. If it doesn't start getting better soon, I may ask to see the hand doctor sooner. I'm supposed to see her back on November 2nd, but I have to go see her sooner if I don't start getting feeling back. Or well, I can still feel, just it's a bit numb. I'm also in a full-length knee brace, and I have been, and going to be for a total of 6 weeks. So that's put my going to the gym on hold. Even with doing my own home physical therapy that I've been given with a doctor, I can go without a wrist brace during the day. That's not a problem. But if I'm working, which is driving, I have to have the brace on, because if I turn the steering wheel on my car, let alone my bus, just right, it hurts. I can twist this way just fine, but if I start twisting the right about there is it, and I'm not even putting that much pressure on it. And so sometimes I'll put my thumb in the steering wheel and I'll turn, or something like that, something stupid, and oh my God, does it hurt? Does it hurt? So there's an outside chance I may be stuck wearing a wrist brace. My knee is still bad. It's not as bad. I don't have the instability I used to have in it. But it still hurts a lot more than my other knee, and a lot more than it did before the accident. So not much going on. Let me get somebody down here. Yeah, look at this little guy, which you won't get to see him very well. But this, yeah, let me give you a look at him. Ta-da! This is Bruz, B-R-U-Z. And if you're a fan of Shadow of War from the Mordor series, yes, that Bruz. Even though he's a betrayer, I loved him. He had a great personality. So this is Bruz. He is a toy Chihuahua. He weighs somewhere between 3 and 4 pounds, I think. He's very small as compared to Bella. This unique coloring that you see on him is a merle coloring. And his is chocolate. There are different types of merles. I forget all of them, but he's a chocolate merle. He's also got a pink nose rather than a black nose. But this is my dog. This is my new dog. I still have Bella. It's one of the things that led to my out-of-control eating. Is technically I no longer have cola. And this still hurts because it was only a little more than a week and a half ago. My mom calls me from downstairs and says Cole is sick. I figure it's just the weather, or, he's got a bit of a cold or something, he'll be fine. My mom says, no, there's something more. I said, no, Mom, what do you want me to do? If he's sick, he's sick. But something in the back of my head kept bugging me. It kept bugging me. And so then I decided to go down and check on him. And he was bundled up, in one of my mother's robes and right up on her shoulder, which he never does. And so when I took him, usually I'll sit him in my arm facing to the right, and he'll turn and face to the left. He always wants to sit facing the left. He turned only part way and immediately climbed up right here and just like plastered himself against me. He's never done that before. He's shaking really hard, which he's never done before. So I sit down with him and I sit him in my lap. I put him back in my arm, and I notice that his head is doing this. It's just very... Every so often he'd paw at his eye, right behind his eye. And I don't mean like, how some dogs... No, he like was like that real hard. And I put him down on the ground just to look, and he would walk in a circle several times before he would move. And his movement seemed unsure. When he stood still, again, his head was dipping and moving. And I really was worried at that point. But what sealed the deal for me to take him to the vet was his drooling. Even with his mouth fully closed, he was drooling like a sieve. If you've ever seen some shows where they have the big Saint Bernard or pit bull, some of the big jowls, and how they can drool from those jowls, it was like that, but just continuous. Koa's never drooled in his life. So I did a quick search online, and there's a Tufts Emergency Veterinarian Center in Walpole, which is only 15 minutes away. So I load him up in the car, and I take him there, and I'm waiting an awful long time. See, they don't think much is wrong with them, and that other dogs have bigger emergencies, which technically was kind of true. My dog's problems weren't obvious until I got to see the vet. And the vet took a look at him, and I could see the look in the vet's eyes as she was getting more and more concerned. Because a lot of vets do actually care about their job. See, there's a difference between veterinarians and doctors, okay? There's a big difference. Veterinarians care about their patients. They care about the animals, and they care about the owners that have them. Doctors can care and do care, but here's the difference. Well, I'll tell you the difference at the end of the story. Here's the big deal. Now, I'm not broke. I have money, but I know that this could be really expensive. The exam alone is $170, almost $200, and that's not including any tests they would have had to run, which they didn't. She did a thorough exam of him in the exam room, what she called a preliminary neurological exam. And she sat Koa down on the table, and she was petting him, and she said, well, there's 3 possibilities, and I'm going to be honest with you. 2 of them are like 5% chance, and the rest is the other one. She said it could be an infectious disease. She says, but it's really not likely. He's showing no other signs of an infectious disease. Says it could be a cyst in or on the brain, which would be fatal if not operated on, and I don't think I could afford the surgery if he needed it. But she said, again, not very likely. She says what it's most likely, and it can be common in small breeds, is a brain tumor. And that would explain a few things that have been going on, a bit of a change in Koa's demeanor over the past 6 months or so. His going blind a few years ago, this could be that reason why he suddenly went blind. For what appeared to be no other reason. Well, that reason very well be he had a brain tumor all this time. The loss of his hair, again, could be explained into a brain tumor. So, with that said, I had no choice because I promised myself I would never make my dog suffer if the time came. I watched Rue, my wife's family dog that they had when I got there, suffer to the point he couldn't walk. He just collapsed on the floor one day, and I had to pick him up and put him into his bed, and then they finally put him to sleep. Popo, who did kind of the same thing, his back legs completely gave out. He couldn't walk. His entire hind end was gone. And my aunt's dog, Diva, which was a bulldog, she had Diva Diva had collapsed and couldn't really walk anymore, and she still kept her. Diva had tumors all over, and she had all kinds of problems, and my aunt kept her alive way longer because she wasn't ready to let go. I'm not ready to let go. Well, it's not about you. It's about the dog and the suffering the dog's going through. So it came as a huge kick in the gut that I had to put Koa to sleep then and there, which was another $140. Now, I don't know why I paid as much as I did. I think they were supposed to do something in particular and they didn't. But it's neither here nor there. I was able to afford it. But still, the vet came in and she said, look, I've been talking to the girls out front. She says, I know that things are a bit tough on you and everything you're going through. So she said, I told them I'm going to comp the exam. They can't comp putting him to sleep. They can't comp the medications to put him to sleep. And the things that I had done afterwards, they couldn't comp. But she said, I can comp the exam, so I'm going to do that for you. There's the difference between your average doctor and your average veterinarian. Veterinarians will work with you to help your dog because they understand not everybody can afford to truly give an animal what it needs in terms of medical care. Most of us in this world really can't. There are a lot of people out there that own animals. If that animal gets sick and needs a vet, can't afford it. And I'm not blaming anyone for that. I'm not telling you don't own an animal. Owning an animal sometimes is the only thing you can do. If it wasn't for Koa and Bella, I might not be here because after my wife passed away, I just wanted to do nothing but give up. I kept going for them. So the vet decided to comp the exam, so it was $170 I didn't have to pay. And I was forever grateful for that. At least I will be forever grateful. It's 1:30 in the morning while I'm recording this, so I went through the accident back on August 22nd. At the beginning of October, I had to put Koa to sleep, and it's just been a struggle ever since. Which, by the way, I don't have a picture here yet. I still need to go and print one out at the beginning of the month, but that's Koa. It's basically an urn, and this part comes out and you can put a picture. I never thought I'd do this. I'll be honest with you. I never thought I'd have my dog's urn with me. My mother does. She has all of her dogs, going back as far as Scuttles when I was 19. Keep in mind I'm 45 now. Give you an idea. So she has Scuttles, Rascal, Cookie, April, Zorro, and Hero. She has all their ashes. She wants to be buried with them, which I can understand. I understood before, but I never thought I thought I'd just have my dog's ashes spread with other dogs and you'd be free. And I don't know. I may still spread his ashes somewhere. Where, I don't know. Because I don't know what to believe. if by keeping the ashes, and yes, I do believe we all have spirits and souls, do I keep, when I keep his ashes, do I pin that soul with me or with the box, or is his soul actually roaming free now? You know, I don't know what to think. But when they presented me with the option, I found out I wasn't fully ready to let go. Told you it still hurts. It's like losing another family member. And his symptoms came on that night. I came home that afternoon. My mother was at the senior center, and I took him outside. He was playing a little bit. He was happy. He had a treat. He ate. He drank. He was doing well. The doctor said, the vet said, yeah, sometimes the symptoms can set on really fast, just hit suddenly. So I literally went from having my dog to not. And again, I got hit with that regret. You know, I really got hit with that regret. Because since we moved in this house, going on 2 years ago, Ko has been downstairs, and I've been up here. Ko has slept with my mother in her room. And that's because I didn't want to worry about accidentally leaving the stairs open, you know, forgetting. And then Koa gets to the stairs and falls down. And you know, gets really hurt that way. So it was easier for me to leave him with my mother, and my mother was very happy to have him downstairs, especially as she had just put I think she put Hero to sleep at the time. So I hadn't spent a lot of time with him like I normally would. What's the matter, Bruce? Bruce is extremely high energy. First off, he's male, and he's not fixed yet. He will be fixed, which will help calm him down some. But he's very high energy. He loves to play. He does get on the nerves of Bella at times. Bella's become the older, mature woman now. As I say that, she slinks deeper into her blanket. He's very playful. He's also very submissive. He'll, if you gently nudge him while playing with him, he'll roll flat over onto his back, and he'll play with all 4 paws up in the air. He loves to run with Bella when Bella does play, and Bella plays with him several times through the day. But again, several times through the day as well, actually more often than they play, she has to put him into place, and she growls at him. And she snaps a little bit, but she doesn't actually bite him. And then she gets right up next to him and just kind of like leans over at him. You know, and she's tall. Bella's actually very tall for a Chihuahua because she's not purebred Chihuahua. She's Chihuahua Min Pin mix, miniature pincer. And Bruce here is full toy Chihuahua. And he bonds with one person. He'll let others pet him if he likes them. Like at times he'll let my mother pet him when I'm around, but when I'm not around, he tends to be a little bit more defensive. He's bonded to me. He's bonded solely to me. He's my dog, and I'm very happy to have him. You know, some people kind of say, "Well, you know, that was quick." Yeah, I always promise myself that when one dog goes, I'm getting another. And I'm not going to wait because I have 2 dogs and I always want 2 dogs. So when Bella's time comes, I'm going to get another dog. And it's going to be another small dog, Chihuahua or something of that nature. I never saw myself as a small dog person until I had Koa. And big dogs are great, don't get me wrong. I'd love a big dog, but I doubt I'll ever have room for it. And the thing that scares me the most is when my mother isn't here anymore, when her time comes. I'm not going to be able to live in this house anymore, or wherever we're living. I'm not going to be in my mother's housing. So we're going to lose that. I'm going to lose that, which means I'll probably shuffle down to Florida if my father's still around and live down by him. I doubt I'll be able to live in his home. I don't know how things will go, but I don't want to give up my dogs. And I'm afraid that if I go to move with my father, I'm going to have to give up my dogs. And that terrifies me, I can't give them away. Not even Bruce, who I've only had for about a week now, a little over a week. And Bruce gave me a really good scare last night. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You'd be looking at me like that. You know what you did. He was chewing on a hat down here, and there's some wires that lay down. Never had an issue with it. I don't know if he did it on purpose or if I got tangled up in the hat and he got it by mistake. But he managed to bite through an extension cord, and the extension cord is plugged in. And the next thing I know, I hear him yipping, yiping, very much in distress. Bella instantly got up from where she was and darted over here. I wouldn't have even known that he was down here. I would have had to search for him if it weren't for Bella going right to him. And when I grabbed him, I felt a tingling. And I went to move him, trying to figure out what was wrong, and I saw that the wire had moved. And then I saw, fortunately, I had a light on somewhere. I think I may even have my computer light on like this. I saw the white of the wire crossing his muzzle, and I knew at that point that the wire was in his mouth. So I pushed him over onto his stomach, and I grabbed his jaw, and I pinched, and I pulled it open, and he took off like a shot, because of the wire, he couldn't open his mouth, and I was so scared. First off, I couldn't find him. Come to find out, he came back up the stairs and was laying on the blanket up here. And then, of course, he was scared all night. He didn't want to leave my side. And I was really worried because symptoms can crop up upwards of 48 hours after the incident. But he's been playing, he's been running, he's back to his old self already. So I'm pretty sure he's going to be all right. But it was scary. And I actually have tubing insulation of sorts. It's a real heavy gauge plastic with an opening along one side. And you tuck the wires inside, and it makes it more difficult for the dog to chew. And Bella never chewed him. Koa's never chewed him. And Bruce's teeth are really small. He doesn't have the world's greatest bite force, so he may not be able to go through the plastic. But if he does chew it, and he would be capable of it, hopefully I'll hear it rather than the soft rubber of a wire that insulates it. So there's that. I'm very, very happy with him. He's laying down in my arms. I don't know if you can see. He's got his nose tucked into my arm. I've already grown attached to him. He's my boy. And I make sure to lavish all kinds of attention on Bella because I don't want her thinking that she's been replaced. Normally I'd be holding her right now too, but she's just bundled up in her blanket asleep. So I don't have to worry about that. I always try to make sure if I'm paying attention to one, I pay attention to the other because I don't want them to get upset or jealous at each other. And they do that. And I've made no bones about it. Bella's my number one. Everyone else can love their dogs and whatnot evenly, but I've had Bella longer than I've had Bruce, so I will make sure to give Bella a lot of attention. And I'll give Bruce a lot of attention. But, Bella's been here for me ever since. Since moving, she's been my shadow. She rarely will leave my side. If I'm up in the room, she's laying on the couch, or she's laying down here under the table on the pillow that I put down there. I go downstairs, she goes downstairs. I sit down on the couch, she sits down on the back of the couch with me, or she sits on my lap or something like that. I go to the bathroom, she's got to follow me. She's my shadow. Bruce is taking clues from that as well. But it's my girl, my boy. Part of the problem behind Bruce for me is he doesn't stay still very much right now. So a couple times he'll wake me up. Speaking of which, already, he had his head tucked, and yet he's already up again. Speaking of which, already, Bruce, what are you doing? I have no idea what you're doing. You know what? Yeah. Go lay down on your pillow. Okay? He won't. Go lay down, Bruce. I forget what I was saying. But, oh yeah, he gets up a lot, and Bella will get up as well. So, and then they wake me up because they want to go back under the blanket. And it's like, ugh. And especially I got to drive school bus during the week. I got to be up at anywhere from 6 to 6:30 in the morning, depending. Bruce, lay down. It's not fun sometimes, but it's what you get when you get a puppy, and I always want a younger dog. Because his name originally was Milo, but I wasn't going to call him Milo, although Milo is a good name for him. But otherwise, everything else is just kind of status quo, I took a vacation. I needed to. I virtually suffered a mental breakdown after fighting with my Nissan dealership that sold me the Rogue that was totaled to cancel the extended warranty, which I don't think they did. So I need to talk to my lawyer about that. Unfortunately, I didn't keep it. I didn't keep the paperwork from the Nissan, and I should have. So I got to call the bank and see if they got the paperwork about the extended warranty. Sorry, getting lost in thought, which happens a lot with me right now. I'm going to be going out tomorrow. I was going to go out tonight and work because it's Halloween weekend. Tends to be a little busier. I could use the cash, but I don't need the cash. So I took the long night off, and especially I wanted to monitor Bruce for a little while longer, just in case. Because again, up to 48 hours, but you get past the first 24, you're usually pretty good. He's been eating, he's been drinking, so there's no burns on the roof of his mouth, none on his tongue. I've checked his gums. And then I've checked his heartbeat and watched his breathing, and he's been okay. So I just decided to stay home and keep an eye on him. I'm going to go to work, later today, being almost 2 in the morning. Let's see, what else? I'm not honestly sure. Let's see. Let me think. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was talking about my vacation. I got pulled off track. A friend of mine invited me down to Atlanta, Georgia. They offered to fully pay for my hotel from Friday to Tuesday at the beginning of October. All right, it wasn't quite the beginning of October. It was October 5th, I think. Yeah, I left on the 4th. I left late at night on the 4th, and I drove I drove about 7 hours at night on the 4th. I got there late in the day on the 5th. Yeah, I drove to Atlanta, Georgia. Stayed the night of the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and I left on the 9th. So, I enjoyed my time. And I'm getting distracted again. I'm letting myself get distracted, honestly. I enjoyed my time down there. I went to the Atlanta Zoo, which was kind of small and a bit disappointing for a big zoo. It really, for a big city, rather. For a big city. I went shopping and bought a couple of hats. Buddy, you can't chew everything you find. Right? You've already been shocked once. He's not chewing a wire. I don't know what he's chewing, but he was chewing something. But anyways, one hat was $200. The other hat was $50. So I spent $250 on just 2 hats. But they're really nice hats. So I got 2 hats, went shopping. I tried all different kinds of food. I had Middle Eastern food. I had went to this one place in Atlanta, Georgia. Go lay down, Bruce. Go lay down. Excuse me. It's Atlanta, Georgia, and it's simply called Eats. That's it. Eats. It's this little ramshackled concrete stucco brick building in a very questionable part of town. How questionable? Well, there's a sign in the door before you walk in that says, "Do not leave anything valuable in your car." But valuable is crossed out and visible is written underneath. Do not leave anything visible in your car. That kind of questionable. But oh my God, was the food amazing. I had the turkey chili. Everything there is healthy. And you can even eat vegan there if you wanted to. If you're a vegan eater. You can eat vegan if you want to. I had turkey chili, a little bit of cornbread, and I got a couple sides. I had this amazing broccoli casserole. And I forget what my other side was. The cornbread, maybe I just got unlucky that day. It was burnt and really dry. But the rest of the food was amazing. My friend had gotten jerk chicken with a couple of things. And man, if I could grab that place and put it up here near me, I would eat there every day. The food was just fantastic. Absolutely amazing food. It's called Eats. I don't know if it's in Atlanta proper, but it's up in that area of Atlanta, Georgia. An interesting thing about Atlanta is the main highway that runs through there. The damn thing's like 12, 14 lanes. It's huge. You know, it's bigger than any highway I've been on in the Boston area. And calling Boston a city now for me is a bit of a stretch after seeing Atlanta. I mean, Atlanta is not even one of the bigger cities like Los Angeles or Chicago or even New York. well, even New York. New York's probably one of the biggest cities, rather. One of the biggest. I don't know if it's the big. Whatever, you get what I mean. But looking at the skylines and just seeing buildings, just tall skyscraper buildings all along, and then you look back behind you and it just keeps going. And you get in Boston and there's 3. you have a hard time calling it a city. Boston is really actually, it's suburbs. You have the city proper, but then you have Dorchester, Cambridge, Quincy, Somerville, Alston, some others I can't think of. Brighton is another one. You know, that whole splayed out suburbs is technically Boston. I know all cities have suburbs, but if you didn't have it, I don't think you could classify Boston as a city. But beside the point, the interesting thing is, in Atlanta, I don't know where else they may have this, but I've never seen it before. We don't have anything like this up here in Boston, and we should, because that main highway is so important. It's always so busy, and for it to be clogged by anything not only can be extremely dangerous to somebody that may break down in an outer lane and can't get over to an inner lane, it could really clog and block the road, which would be really, really bad. So they have these emergency response units, these auto emergency response units, and I believe they're done through Progressive. You don't have to be you don't have to have Progressive insurance. It's just Progressive that does this. It's contracted to do this. They're neon yellow ambulance-looking vehicles, and they have every right, apparently, from what I see, that an ambulance has. They have lights. They have sirens. They'll get into any lane, and you're to get out of their way when they come through. Because they get up there, they'll help you change a flat tire. They'll get you out of the way. They'll try and get you going. You know, they got the flashing lights and everything to help protect you from being hit. And their job is to keep that highway open from minor breakdowns and incidences. And they race constantly. It's got to be a high-stress, high-pressure job. Because I went through the city twice, and I constantly saw them. And I almost never saw them. I think I may have seen it once where one wasn't racing with the lights going and the sirens blasting. It was really interesting. But the other thing I did in Atlanta was I went to the Atlanta Aquarium. Now, I think at one point Boston Aquarium had a wonderful dolphin show, even killer whales. They had a walrus show and sea lions. They don't have that anymore. I think there was a big thing about it that the tank or the pool that they had the animals in wasn't actually big enough. So the New England Aquarium, from what I've looked up and read about, is a lot smaller than I remember it. But the Atlanta Aquarium, as expensive as it may be, and it is expensive, don't get me wrong there, as expensive as the Atlanta Aquarium may be, it's actually really good. They got a lot of amazing and beautiful displays. They have their huge ocean tank, which actually houses 2 whale sharks in it. And they are small as terms of whale sharks go, but they small whale sharks, still a big fucking whale shark. They also have a tank with beluga whales in it. They got like 3 or 4 beluga whales, and it's got some seals in it that swim with them. They have a wonderful dolphin show. It's about 30 minutes long. I spent more at the aquarium buying souvenirs. I bought a bottle for myself that I could put water in. I bought a couple stuffed animals for my mother. I actually bought a stuffed penguin for my aunt. I just cleaned out my computer and it's all fucking dusty again. Son of a bitch. I bought a big stuffed animal that I'm going to send to my girlfriend, and I just bought all kinds of fucking things. A good grand total of like $300 in souvenirs from the aquarium, plus the entry was like $30 something, and Parking was another 15. So man, I chewed through some money. On the way to Atlanta, I stayed at this little rinky-dink style hotel. Well, that wasn't really rinky-dink, but it was you know, straight building with rooms on each side, run by a Hispanic family that I could tell, and it cost me $100 that night to stay there, which was steep, but it was getting on like 2, 3 in the morning. I needed to get some sleep, so I just took one that I found with an opening. On the way back, I actually thought ahead, and as I started to know that I'd be getting tired soon, I started looking for a Motel 6, which only cost me $50 to stay in, about half the price. And overall, it was a really good vacation. I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed myself. I relaxed. I came home. I felt invigorated. I felt happy. I was ready to tackle everything again. And that's when the COA thing happened. So it was like life went, oh, he's too happy. Can't have that. But for the most part, that's what's been going on with me. It's been ups and downs, as it's always been. I'm sure a lot of people, I mean, we all go through times like this. It just seems like I go through it more frequently than the average person. You know, I'm working 3 jobs now. I'm trying to balance all this shit out. Things I want to do when my court case sells. Now, I won't be able to do all of this. I will not be able to do all of this. I have kind of my sky dreaming stuff, my maybe, depending on when I get stuff, and the stuff I actually want to do and will do when I get my settlement. First thing, and this is like the sky dreamy stuff. Ugh. Excuse me. Yeah. Sorry about that. You don't want to know. Trust me. You don't want to know. Sorry. But the first thing, sky thing I want is I'd like to get an RV. Not a new RV, a used RV. You can get a decent, I believe they're called C-Class RV. They're usually the RVs with the van front that have the overhang. You can get a decent C-Class RV for $10,000. But that's up in the dream realm. Something that may be more feasible, and something I want to do that's a step below that, is get an older pickup truck, something with, you know, it can have 100,000 miles or more on it, depending on what it is. I won't care. To drive around in the winter, maybe put a plow on it, and maybe tow a camper trailer with, which would be less expensive. Although buying the two together actually may be more expensive than getting an RV. I might get a new computer again, and I'll just, I don't know, give this one to my mother or something. I have no idea. Or maybe I could use it as a streaming computer. I don't know how to set that up, but you know. But I may go all out depending on how much I get and get a really powerhouse computer with SLI, top-end cards, top-end processor, and full banked out high-end gaming memory and big hard drives and all that. I might do that. I don't know. This one's still going real strong and probably will for a while. I bought it at pretty, you know, it's pretty strong. So that's in the depending on what I get. That's between depending on what I get and kind of like dreaming tier. What I'd actually like to do, and this may not happen because it all depends on the landlord. I actually want to replace the washing machine, the refrigerator, and the stove. And it will just depend on what the landlord wants to do, because if I'm going to go and buy these on my own, then I want them to be mine. Okay, they're going to be mine. Which means the landlord, you know, would have to consent to either coming and getting the appliances that are here and doing something with them, or selling them, or letting me sell them and give her the money, something like that. I have to go with the fact that the appliances won't be here in the house if we're to move at some point. We're taking them with us. But that's in the lower. Above that, I want to go and see my girlfriend Chana. That is I am going to do that. I'm dedicating at least $3,000 to that in terms of travel. The airline ticket won't cost $1,000, but I'm dedicating $1,000 to it, because hell, I might even fly first class. It's only a few hours, but I might do it anyways. I've never flown first class before, so I did once, but it was a very short, not even 40-minute flight. I might fly first class to get a rent-a-car, and I'm going to get a decent rent-a-car. I'm not going to get a little something. I may even go with a luxury rent-a-car. I don't know. And for the hotel, which is going to be at least $700, if not $1,400, because I want to stay for 1 to 2 weeks, and the hotels go about $100 a day. So, yeah. But I want to go see Chana. Then I want to take a trip to Florida to visit my father and a friend of mine that lives down there, Linksy. That is something I want to do, something I will endeavor to do. And the appliances. And then after that, I don't know. I'm definitely going to try and put some money away to save, open up something that will actually earn interest. I don't know for sure what, but I'll figure it out from there. You know, I'm going to take it one step at a time, basically. But I'm taking a trip to Minnesota, and I'm going to take a trip to Florida. The only difficult part will be bringing somebody here to watch my mother while I'm gone. And poor Bruce and Bella are going to go nuts without me, but I want to go see my girlfriend. Mind you, to bring my girlfriend here would be the cost of a plane ticket and going to get her at the airport and bringing her back here, but I'm not going to go into that. But none of that can start until I'm finally done with doctor care, and Lord knows how long that's going to be at this point. So, long story short, I'm doing okay. I've had to endure another kick to the gut and the loss of my dog coming up suddenly, and financially I'm still recovering from that a little bit, because it was $220 I think total, and then Bruce cost me $200 to get, which is really damn cheap, even if you don't have papers. A purebred, and he is purebred, merle colored toy Chihuahua can go for thousands, and I got him for $200. So that was $430 I wasn't planning to spend. I spent another $420 on glasses. I got new glasses finally. And I'm putting out another $200 this coming Thursday to have a bunch of trash and rubbish removed from outside around the yard in prep for winter. That's about it. You know, money-wise, I just got a lot of money going out, but fortunately working 2.5 jobs, half being Uber. I've got a good amount of money coming in. Well, there was also the trip to Atlanta, which drained me for upwards around $1,000 by the end of it. So, not bad. I've had worse times. I've had worse days. Worse weeks. What you gonna do? I do the same thing I always do. I just keep putting one foot stubbornly in front of the other and work to improve the quality of my life. I'd talk more about my girlfriend, but I think I'll save that for another vlog. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm usually in bed by midnight now. Yeah, I almost have a regular schedule. I'm tired. I'm ready to go to bed. But I want to say this before I do. Again, my dog was taken from me suddenly, much like my wife. And it reminded me about how things can change quickly and how you think you have time and suddenly you realize you don't. I thought I had another at least 2 years with Koa downstairs, because Chihuahuas commonly live to be 12 to 16, even older, into their 20s. So I thought I had at least a couple more years with them. And this pertains to any pets you have, any family member in your life. It doesn't matter how young you are, it doesn't matter how young they are. Something could happen suddenly to take that person away from you. And you don't want to live with the regret of wishing that you spent just that one more day with them, you had one more time with them. You really don't want that. And the other thing is, not only can people be taken away suddenly, but time can fly by really fast. The older you get, the faster it goes, and some of you know this. You know, the days go by quickly, then the weeks go by quickly, then the months, then the years start flying by. And all that time that you thought you had, you don't have anymore. And that was the impression I was trying to put on my girlfriend when I talked to her, and I don't think that I did. My girlfriend's been very sheltered. I know, I said I'm going and I'm not. What else is new? My girlfriend's been very sheltered. Her parents have not made her do anything since leaving high school. She's 22 years old, and she hasn't had a job yet. I had my first job when I was 16. She's 22 years old, hasn't had a job, hasn't had to be responsible for herself, hasn't had to pay bills. Completely living off her parents. And the longer she goes without getting a job and being responsible and earning money and paying bills and starting to save, the more and more difficult it's going to be for her when her parents aren't there anymore. To the point she may be totally reliant on somebody else to pay and take care of her. And no, this is not really, this is a little bit part of what I wanted to talk about, but not really. There's a lot more, it goes a lot deeper, but this is kind of the surface of it and puts across the point a bit that I'm trying to make. And I've tried to impress on her that the years are going to fly by, and you're going to look back and you're going to be in your 30s and you're going to go, what happened to the time? And your parents are suddenly one day just not going to be there, and you're going to thought, but I thought they were going to be here longer. And you're going to find yourself alone and scared with nothing to do and nowhere to fall back on, and your only hope is that somebody is still around to take you in. Now that's a bit of a drastic explanation, but the premise remains: don't waste your time. It's very precious in this life, and you never know how fast those years can go by, and you'll never know when somebody or something that you thought you'd have time for, you suddenly don't. Don't wait. Don't blow it. Don't live with the regret. Because it doesn't go away. 3+ years now, I still regret not telling my wife I love you before we went to sleep. And just curling up with my back to her, hoping that she just went to sleep and didn't start a fight with me over some sheets on the bed. I get to live with that every day for the rest of my life. I get to live every day of the rest of my life that I did not spend enough time with my dog and I left him downstairs for my mother to take care of while I sat up here, played games, talked to friends, and watched videos on YouTube. I've struck out twice. I don't intend to strike out a third time. Take my advice. Pets, people, your life. Don't sit there and think you've got all the time in the world. You don't. 1 minute, you think I got all the time in the world. I can take forever to do this. I don't have to worry. And the next minute, it's been 10, 20 years more later. You look back and go, what happened? Don't do that. Don't do that. Take it from me. I've learned the hard way twice. Hopefully this time it sticks. Anyways, I really am tired. My eyes are trying to close, and you just saw I'm trying to like put my head down and stuff. So I'm gonna go here, folks. I know this talk has been up and down, but again, like I said, I've been up and down. So this will be one big bugger. I'm gonna be signing out. See you next time.